Excellent fight, man. Fun times. First of all, let me turn down ESPN, man. I don't want to hear that. Hold on. All right, man. Fun fight. I would say fun. I'm not gonna sit here and say it was an excellent fight. It was fun. Uh, Not much skill involved in the fight. Usually is the case for Manny Pacquiao. Most of his fights are like that. So, uh, Jeff Horn, man, I didn't give this guy any credit. I did a review on Jeff Horn and Pacquiao probably 5 months ago, and I think it was like 5 months ago that I did a review, and I was asking who was Jeff Horn? Who is this dude, man? This guy, he's a bum. I mean, they went and tried to hand select somebody that we haven't heard of. We don't know this guy in the United States. To us, when you haven't heard of a guy like that, and most fights that we see today are not against the number one contender. Most fights that we see are championship level fights. It's always somebody who has a belt. Um, if Manny Pacquiao was fighting in the States, it would have had to have been against somebody that had a belt, against another champion. So he's fighting a number one contender, um, and nobody knows who he is except for his fans, his hometown people, the people that selected him. So it, it was. I mean, it's funny to me, that I didn't really get a guy a shot, but he came in and he actually had a halfway decent skill set. To be honest with you, the guy was turning Manny Pacquiao. He was utilizing footwork. He was um, grabbing when he needed to grab. He was headlocking. He was bouncing around, on his toes. He seemed like he had pretty halfway decent footwork, uh, and good conditioning. He was stringing together some decent combinations. He was landing some power shots. Manny Pacquiao was taking a lot of shots tonight, man, where he should not have been taking shots, and especially early in the fight. He should not have been taking shots like that early in the fight. And my thing is if you throw away the referees, you throw away the scorecards, you throw away all of that stuff, and you got two guys fighting in the street, and it's like that. Who are you gonna have winning the fight? Um, the guy that looks like he's dominating. You can look at it from a casual fan standpoint, and you probably gonna see the same thing. This guy is doing all he can. Now, I will agree with the fact that Jeff Horn, because I put it on Twitter, that this guy is a dead man walking. I mean, he's a dead. He should be an extra on The Walking Dead because he is a dead man walking. He was a dead man walking in those championship rounds. Dead man walking. And they almost stopped the fight on the guy, but I didn't really agree with that to begin with because even though he was taking some punishment and he was Pacquiao gangster lean this dude, man. He gangster lean this guy. He hit this guy, man, I think with a right hand shot, and this dude just started leaning, just leaning, and almost fell down, but he stayed up. You got to give him some credit for having some grit, man. He had some true grit in there. He didn't allow Pacquiao to overwhelm him with speed and try to hit him with all of these punches coming from nowhere. So he didn't allow that stuff. So let's really get to it. I had Jeff Horn. I would say he would probably have been down maybe 2 rounds. Let's just get realistic. He was down 2 rounds, and he had, in my opinion, it was close because to me he won the fourth and the fifth round. If you go back and you watch the fight, um, he had Pacquiao in some serious trouble in the fourth and fifth round, and Pacquiao came out trying to slow the pace down because this guy kept the pace going um, pretty much all the way through. I would probably say 6 or 7, where he started showing signs of being tired, Jeff Horn. Like he started showing some real signs exhaustion because he was doing so much movement, and he was throwing so many punches and he was missing. You could clearly see where he was going to have a hard time in the later rounds. I thought he would be struggling a little more than what he did, but he actually got his second win, especially after the judge had warned him that he was getting ready to stop the fight. So, uh, but I had him really close in the fight because I mean he was sticking in Tupac early, man. He was landing some tough hooks. He was going to the body. Um, and Pacquiao had to do a lot of maneuvering where he's not used to that. He's really used to fighting in a straight line. He seemed like he kind of prepared for what Horn was going to bring to him, and he was kind of moving in and out more than I've ever seen Pacquiao moving in and out. Man, I've never seen him in and out, ducking under, trying to slip punches. He was trying to utilize his ring wisdom in there, man. He was trying to throw off Horn's timing. He was jab stepping, and wasn't throwing any punches and trying to force Horn to open up a little bit. And Horn was falling for it here and there, but not as often as Pacquiao wanted him to. So I did not give this man any credit, but I'm going to give him his credit now. Jeff Horn, he came to fight. He came to fight, man. He came to put hands on Manny Pacquiao, man. He was trying to knock this guy out, man. He almost had his shot, but he ended up getting winded because his adrenaline was pumping so much, man. He was so high. He was literally out of breath in the rounds where he really needed to try to put Manny Pacquiao away. So he let Pac back into the fight. From the sixth round on, Pacquiao was landing some pretty good shots. He was trying to turn Jeff Horn around a little bit this time, but the thing of it is that Horn was grabbing him. He was head butting him. He was getting away with a lot of things he wouldn't have got away with in the U.S. He would have been warned multiple times. He probably would have had 1 or 2 points taken away from him, and but like I said, man, I kind of like some of that rough stuff in boxing. I said that before in the last video. Like I kind of like it when they allow that, because everywhere else you can actually fight, but in the U.S. you have too many of these rules, and which I understand why the rules exist. I'm not a casual boxing fan. I get it, but sometimes, man, a fight is a fight, and you need to let boxing be boxing, and you need to let fighting be fighting. And from the opening round, you could tell that this was going to be a fight. It wasn't going to be a boxing match. And, that's the way you got to referee it. Depending on how these guys come out and what they're doing, you have to determine how you're going to referee the fight. And that's another thing I didn't like, man. The referee was pissing me off, man. He just kept breaking these guys up for every little thing, giving Pacquiao all of his rest. And, I'm not hating on Pac, man. Pac came to fight. He did the best that he could do. You could tell he was prepared. He looked like he was in shape. But what I didn't like is Horn looked like he was about 20 pounds heavier than Pacquiao. He looked big, man. He looked like he was about 160. He did, man. If he wasn't 160, he had to be at least 155. That guy was far bigger than Pac. Pac looked like he was about 147 to 149. Like, no lie, he looked small. So I don't even know what weight they were fighting at. I didn't pay attention to any of that because I wasn't really gonna watch this fight. I wasn't gonna tune in because I really didn't want to see Pacquiao fighting yet another bum. So in my mind, this guy was a bum, and he was gonna get knocked out between the 4th and the 6th round. And I mean, he came with it. He almost got knocked out, but he recovered well, and you could tell, man, he trained hard for this fight. So let's get to the robbery, because it was a robbery. Pacquiao was up at least, I would say, by 2 points. So ESPN had this guy way up, about probably 4 to 6 points. They had what was it? I think 116, 111, and something like that. So I just really wasn't feeling that part. I wasn't feeling that, man. Yeah, man. I wasn't. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to watch these guys ringside, but I wasn't feeling that. So anyway, man. Yeah, was it a robbery? Yeah, it was a robbery. Pacquiao still should have retained his belt. He should have came out of there, barely beating this guy, and that's one of the reasons why the judges went ahead and gave it to Horn, because Pacquiao was supposed to be a Hall of Famer. He's supposed to be the experienced guy in there. A win is a win. Don't get me wrong, but he was supposed to put this guy away, and he didn't. He wasn't able to do it. He wasn't able to finish this man at all. He wasn't able to stop him. So uh, you let this man into the fight. You let this man um, come in and pummel you in the first half of the fight, practically, and then you try to turn it on a little bit between the sixth, seventh, and eighth round. Uh, he gave him some issues in the ninth round too, and once again you have to be looking at swing rounds, and where guys were where they kind of both weren't doing anything, or where they both were doing something, and you have to decide who's going to come out of the clinch on top. Um, whose punches did the more effective damage to the other one, things of that nature. So you have to decide in your mind who's practically the leader, who's the general in the ring at that point, who's dominating. So it could have went either way. It could have went either way, but in my mind, Pacquiao, he came out of there by at least 2 points. So I'm gonna have to give him. I'm gonna have to give it to him, man. I gotta give it to Manny Pacquiao. So this is the longest review I've done in quite some time. So I'm getting ready to close this out. But anyway, man, you guys saw the fight. Tell me what you think. Peace.